martial arts, balance, and dancing on today's Coffee with Alain. Special edition for Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. And I hope everybody's having a great week. We're going to talk a little bit about balance. We're going to talk a little bit about dancing and martial arts and Marc Animal MacYoung. Going to talk about all that good stuff on today's episode. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm drinking out of a Jungle Book mug. And I did go see a movie last night, but I decided to have a Warrior Wisdom Wednesday, and we'll talk about the movie tomorrow. Now, if you are subscribed to the newsletter, which you should be, you can subscribe at enjoylifesafely.com. It's free, goes out every weekend. You saw an article that I posted this last weekend in the Sunday edition of Enjoy Life Safely newsletter on balance. And in that article, I mentioned how balance was so important for martial arts and life. And I referenced one of my favorite martial art movies, Karate Kid. They influenced me, and I enjoyed the Mr. Miyagi character, and I enjoyed the remake with the Cobra Kai, and I've enjoyed the entire Karate Kid franchise. But if you remember way back when, the original Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi took Daniel out on the boat, making him learn balance, dumped him in the water and said he's wet behind the ears and laughed at him when he fell in the water. And then later, with girlfriend problems with Allie, Mr. Miyagi said balance was key there too. So balance, extremely important for martial arts and for life. Now, way back in 1994, one of the first times that I met with Marc MacYoung in person. Previous to that, we had written letters to each other. This was before email days and all that kind of stuff. So we actually wrote real letters to each other. Then we graduated to phone calls, and then we got to meet in person, and we've been friends ever since. He's been on the show a couple times, and probably ought to get him on the show again one of these days soon. But we were sitting there talking. He was here in Missoula. He came up to Missoula. He did a safety lecture at the University of Montana. I was sort of helped get that organized. I had that dual purpose. I wanted us to meet in person and do some training. If you ever read my book, Hard-Won Wisdom from the School of Hard Knocks, the first book I had published with Paladin Press, the foreword was written by Marc, and he had a little story from that meeting here in Missoula when we did some training. But this was the last night that he was going to be in town, and we were sitting in my apartment before he went to his hotel and just chatting about all sorts of stuff. We were talking about Hard-Won Wisdom, my idea for the book, and he was encouraging me to write it, which I then did. He wrote the foreword. But one of the things we were talking about is we were talking about fighting and self-defense and balance. And Marc asked if I danced. And I said, not really. I'm not that great of a dancer. And he's like, because dancing can actually really help your balance and footwork with martial arts. I mean, those of you that are familiar with Bruce Lee, great martial artist. I mean, he's still on the cover of things today, 40, 50 years after he died. I mean, he died, 1973? And he's still making the cover of magazines and extremely popular. But he was a heck of a dancer, too. And one of the funny things is, I told Marc, I said, yeah, my dad told me when I was younger I needed to learn to and dance more, and it would help with things. And Marc was like, you should have listened to him. So I'm telling you now, wherever you're at in your martial art journey, especially if you're young, you have kids in the martial arts and so forth, teaching them to dance, getting them involved in dance will help their martial arts, will help their balance, which helps in everything in life. I mean, right now, I'm fortunate that the martial art training that I have done throughout my life helps with my balance, as I'm not as steady with the knee replacement. However, I do have better balance than a lot of people my age because of the years of martial arts. great dancers will also have that balance, and it would help them if they're having a knee replaced or different things like I'm going through. So doing those activities not just will help you in a tournament or a self-defense situation, but it'll help you in life, because we need balance, especially as we get older, especially if we get older and we have injuries or surgeries like I just had. The balance is key, because many elderly people fall, hit their head, and it causes serious injury or even death. There have been a lot of people that have died because of falls. Martial arts, one, it teaches you about falling. And then two, it helps your balance to prevent the falling, which can definitely help you as you age. I know the martial art falls have saved me when I've gone down a time or two, bicycle accidents, ice. So learning to fall and then having better balance will make your life more enjoyable and safer. Because again, a lot of elderly people get seriously hurt, even killed through falls. You know, one that comes to mind, Dr. Atkins. Everybody knows the Atkins diet. He died when he fell, hit his head, and then had hemorrhaging and passed away from that. And he's just one of many. So practice martial arts, dance, do both, work on balance exercises. It will only help you throughout your life. That's what I wanted to share today. You know, I shared a little bit last week on a social media post. Then I shared some in the newsletter that I sent out on Sunday. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. Got some people that said good morning. Good morning, Thad. Thank you for being here and saying good morning. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Jay and Vicky and Sasha. Hope you're doing well. I saw the post about your job interview, Sasha. I hope that goes great and that you get that position you're looking at, that new position for you. Dixon's here. Dixon says, is my recollection off? I thought the boat scene in Karate Kid was the first sequel when they went to Okinawa. That was the different boat scene. Okinawa, they were down, not really on a boat, but they were down by the water, and he swung the big hook at him. Where the boat scene where he was standing on the little rowboat, he was standing on the rowboat up on the front, and then Mr. Miyagi rocked it a little bit, and he fell in the water, and as he's sputtering in the water, Mr. Miyagi laughs and says, Daniel-san, you're wet behind the ears. So that was the first Karate Kid. Second Karate Kid, they were down where he swung that big hook at him. Dixon also said, Juliet Prowse always amazed me as she aged, her dancing background keeping her quite lively even in her advanced years. Exactly. I mean, you look at some of the elderly dancers and they still move graceful in their later years, 80s to 90 years old, and they're moving graceful where other people can barely get by in those advanced years. So that activity and martial arts is the same. You know, both Dixon and I have been on the mat with Dr. Kim. He's in his mid 80s and he still just moves around the mat. Not the same as he did when he was in his 20s and 30s, but as an 85, 86-year-old moving around the mat the way he does, and it's that years of training and the balance practice and the movement. Dancing gives you that same thing, and they move more graceful and less apt of falls and injuries. Leon is here. Thank you, Leon. Leon says, thanks for posting this. I agree completely. I also think that parkour is a great complement to martial art training as it helps practitioners improve balance as well as other fitness attributes. I would agree with that 100%. I never practiced parkour. I've known some people that have done a little bit. Nothing like some of those great folks I see on the internet doing it, but I've known people that have practiced some. And yes, that kind of movement helps with strength and balance and agility, coordination. All of those things help you in your martial arts and help us through life so we can navigate things and keep ourselves more safe without falls and different stuff. So all of that is great for health, fitness, and helping us have an active, enjoyable life as we age, which is what we all want, right? We want to be able to do things as we get older. And it's these activities and keeping ourselves in physical condition, trying to prevent injuries that will help us get there. And when you do have injuries, like this knee of mine, which, that comes way back from Army injuries. I mean, 3 surgeries when I was in the Army, another one in the early 90s, which removed the meniscus, which just made the knee wear out faster. And that's how my knee wore out. But because of the training and the physical fitness and the martial arts and stuff, I'm being able to rehabilitate and get back on track faster. But the physical therapist yesterday said I was way past, because I told her, well, I've walked up my stairs a couple times, because I'm here in my office, which is in the lower floor, and I got, it's like 12 or 14 step steep staircase up and down. And she said, did you just go up a couple and then switch? Because that's what a lot of people do. I said, no, I went up them all. I said, I used the railing on the side, so I was holding on the railing, but I walked up them normal. I haven't tried down yet. And she goes, we usually don't even start you doing the stairs until 8 weeks. And I'm not even 4 weeks yet. So again, it's the martial arts, it's the keeping active and those things that will keep you going for a longer time, enable you to do things longer. And when you do have injuries and such, allow you to get back from those quicker. And so wherever you're at right now, because it doesn't matter if you're epitome of fitness or you have a long ways to go, it doesn't matter. We can all do better. And I believe martial art training, I believe dancing is fun, right? So it's something you can incorporate in your entire life. You don't need anybody else. There are tutorials on YouTube. You can learn to dance in your own private area. You don't even have to let anybody watch you. Just do it on your own. Turn on the music that you enjoy. Dance. It will help your balance. It will help your physical fitness and help your life. And so if you're a martial artist, it will help that. And if you want to get into the parkour, that's something that can help you as well. Make sure you're safe and you have somebody that can help you train and do so safely. Don't just think you can go out and do some of that real crazy stuff that people do right off the bat. That takes training and moving up the steps until you can do some of that great stuff. And do that too. All of it can be fun. All of it can be beneficial. That's what I wanted to share for Warrior Wisdom today, because Warrior Wisdom is not just about fighting. Balance, training, yes, that will help you defend yourself, but will help you live a more enriched life as well. And that's what I call living with the warrior's edge, with the discipline and training and attributes that living as a warrior provide to make our lives better. Sign up for the newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. Check out the other resources there. They're there to help you defend yourself if you have to, help you enjoy life and be exceptional. Make it a wisdom-filled, dance-filled Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the movie I saw last night.